Yay! Oh, that's very bright, isn't it? There we go. A little less bright. Yay! So this is Math 60 Intermediate Algebra 8.2. This is the quadratic formula. This is what we've all been waiting for. The ridiculously hard to remember formula that will solve all of your problems. Are you having trouble factoring? Or are you having trouble solving quadratics? It'll do that. Are you having trouble dating? It'll help you with that. Who doesn't love to hear about the quadratic formula when you're going on a date? Are you having trouble paying the rent? Become a math teacher. All you need to know is the quadratic formula. Woohoo! It solves all the problems. So let's go through how the heck we get the quadratic formula. I'm just going to do this once. You do not need to memorize this unless you plan to become a math teacher. And even then, you could make a video and then you'd never have to actually know it. You could just make the video for people to watch, or you could, suggest people watch other people's videos. It's up to you. You've got all the choices in the world right now. Life is a beautiful thing. So let us complete the square. Woohoo! So what are we doing? Well, I'm taking a quadratic in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And I want to complete the square to solve this. So first thing I'm going to do, that c is out of there. So I've got ax squared plus bx equals the opposite of c. That's where we need to start because we don't know anything about c. So we're going to try to make a perfect square over here on the left, and c was just in the way. So over to the junk drawer it goes. Now, next thing, here's the bad news. You can do it with an a there, but it's going to be extra, extra hard. So we're going to have to divide out the a. And dividing out the a is not going to be the most fun. I mean, dividing out the a was not too hard, but then what happens with what we've got now is going to mean that we have to be extra careful. We've got fractions. We're about to have some squaring, some square rooting. So just be really careful, write really big. I am going to rewrite this as x squared plus b over ax equals the opposite of c over a. Woohoo, woohoo. And then remember what I said. You took this number and you multiply by 1/2. And we get b over 2a. And then we get that number and we square it. If you've been watching the previous video on completing the square, this is exactly the format I go through. Everybody's got a slightly different style, so it's worth watching other people's videos or asking other people to do it. You could just strike up a conversation with the total stranger and be like, hey, would you like to have some fun with the quadratic formula? And who wouldn't say yes to that, right? B over 2a squared is b squared all over 4a squared. Notice I squared the 2 and the a, so I got 4a squared. Okay. And then that is, oops, I went too far. I got so excited. I went too far. That is what I'm going to put into the x squared plus b over ax plus b squared all over 4a squared. And then over on the other side, I have this minus c over a. I'm going to squish this in the middle. So it looks like that. I am allowed to stick the b squared over 4a squared anywhere on each side, as long as I put it into both sides, which I did. I added it to both sides. So let me highlight this. I'm not so foolish as to write over it because this would be, smearorama. But I did add it to both sides. So it went on both sides. Okay. Next up, this is now a perfect square. And I know it's not obvious, but you'll remember what I said in the completing the square video. And that is that, let me pull this down a little bit. Whatever you get, the results of what you get after you multiply by 1/2, that is going to be what goes right here. It's just the nice thing about patterns is patterns persist. So it's going to be right over here, b over 2a. So see this guy right there ends up right there. Now, we have a tale of woe on the other side. Whoa. And there's some sadness here. It's true. Because I've got kind of a mess right here. And I want to combine it into a single fraction. So I'm going to give myself a little space. I'm going to go ahead and write it again. And then, I can't rub that up. And then I'm going to try to come up with common denominators. And I see that I could come up with the common denominator 4a squared. So I need to write c over a. C over a, how do I write that as 4a squared? I'm going to multiply by 4a top and bottom. So then this side becomes b squared all over 4a squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. You see that? That comes right in there. And over here I have x plus b over 2a, the quantity squared. Now, those of you who've already memorized the quadratic formula, hopefully this is all starting to look very familiar. And you're like, whoa, that's where that comes from? And the answer is yes. Wow, that was exciting. Apparently, I was teaching so well, my camera couldn't take it. Okay, that was exciting. That was exciting. Glad everybody's okay, right? Nobody fell out of their seats when that happened? Okay, dust off, we're good. So I'm going to leave it at x plus b over 2a, the quantity squared, equals b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Down at the bottom, and I'm going to copy this over onto another page. Woohoo! X plus b all over 2a, the quantity squared, equals b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Bam. Oh, and you can't see it. Brilliant. This is why they pay me the big bucks. Okay. Remember, at this stage, I've got a perfect square over here, so I'm going to square root both sides. I'm going to make sure to write the plus or minus. Okay, so far so good. Over on the left, this is the square root or radical of something squared. They cancel each other out. So we're just left with what's inside. Over on the right-hand side, I'm going to split this up. I'm going to split up b squared minus 4ac into its own radical and 4a squared into its own radical. So far, so good? Nice. So then I notice radical 4a squared radical 4a squared is really just 2a. Now I want to isolate x, so I'm going to subtract b over 2a from both sides. X equals the opposite of b over 2a plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Scooch that up so you can see it. There. Here's this guy right there. Here's this one right there. And here it's like a sign from the universe. These two have the same denominator. Let's get these bad boys, these two cuties together. They clearly want to be together. This is really just Celine Dion should be singing at this point, because these two are like made for each other. They both have the same denominator. It's so sweet. Here now is the quadratic formula. That's probably exactly what it'll sound like. We'll get Celine Dion to sing it. I'll just that was just a space holder. I'll get the real song put in so you won't have to listen to my voice. Here's the quadratic formula. This is the beast. So this is the thing you want to memorize starting now and ending when the final happens. Make sure you memorize this if you haven't already. And again, let me encourage you. You're on YouTube already watching this. So just go further into YouTube, open up a new a new tab, and then go ahead and search the quadratic formula and write song. And you will be amazed at how many people have written songs or taken songs, such as a Celine Dion song or Adele, or I don't want to, insert the popular singer from whenever you are watching this, Fergalicious. Um, and you will find an amazing potpourri of quadratic formula songs to help you remember this. This is something you have to know pretty much, I believe, until you die. I think it'll be on the entrance exam for the next state of being. I believe in my heart. So know this, live it, love it. Okay, next video. What the heck do you do with this? Woohoo, math on.